Welcome to the XP Team USA podcast. We're digging the plugs and pinpointing the topics you want to hear. And now, here's your hosts, Dave Kimball and Lynn Quellen.
This show is brought to you by XP Metal Detectors. XP Metal Detectors is a top innovative metal detector company with machines like the Deus and now coming the ORX, also the MI4 and the MI6 pinpointers. With the lightweight and wireless capabilities combined with the power of the Deus, the XP machines makes a perfect metal detector. XP Metal Detectors. Find a dealer near you. Hello and welcome to the XP Team USA podcast. I'm your host, Dave Kimball, coming to you from Central Oklahoma. And I am joined today with my special guest host, Grant Hansen from New Jersey. How you doing, Grant?
I am doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. The weather's starting to warm up a little bit over here some. I got to get out and do some hunting. I think it's going to get cold again this weekend. But how's the weather been over there?
It's starting to get colder and colder, unfortunately. So I'm kind of grasping on to the days that I'll still be able to go out and metal detect. Although Sunday, I think it's supposed to get into the 60s for some weird reason, and then right back down into 30 degrees.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, so we'll see if it stays dry. Maybe I can get out for a little bit. But I did manage to get out earlier in the week. It was cold, it was wet, it was muddy, but it's just always good to get out and clear your head and see what you can find.
Oh, yeah. Did you find anything good?
Nothing remarkable. We were on a home that was built in 1900, but we knew there would be older stuff just by the look of it and the community it was in. And we found little fragments of stuff from the colonial era, like pottery and crotal bell piece and a spoon. But there was just so much iron, and it was just daunting, just digging all these holes, trying to weed through it all. Definitely a place to go back and just take it slow and steady and leverage the HF coil and try to sneak out the good finds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been pretty busy with a lot of things, actually. My club, as y'all know, I'm a president of Central Oklahoma Metal Detecting Club, and our meeting spot had closed down, this restaurant that we were meeting at, and it just out of the blue just closed their doors. So I've been trying to find new meeting spots and get everything together, get everybody on track. Had to end up changing the meeting date, and yeah, it's kind of hectic. But I got out and did a little bit of hunting and found a few things, a few mercury dimes and silver quarters and dog tag. Found another dog tag. I was happy about that.
Oh, yeah? Did you send it over to Neil? I know he's always interested in seeing those.
Yeah, he saw it. I sent him a text message on it right when I found it, too.
And silver. You can never complain about finding silver. That's great.
Yeah, it was a good hunt. I need to get out again right now. And while the weather's still good, I think next week is supposed to be in the 30s or 40s over next week and windy.
Well, as long as the ground isn't frozen, just bundle up. And but once it freezes over, you're done.
Yeah, well, Oklahoma the ground never really freezes. It just, we get these cold spots for a little while, and then it gets a little warm, and then we have snow for a few days, and then it gets warm again. But it's just that ice cold wind that blows all the time. That's just.
Yeah, I know what that feels like, unfortunately.
Today we got a pretty interesting show. We got Mr. Jon Tetreault, and he's one of our field reps out of Massachusetts. He'll be interesting to talk to. He does a lot of good finds and stuff.
Yeah, he's found some amazing things lately, so I'm very anxious to hear about them.
And we also have Mr. David Finley, who's going to be our new dealer of the month for the month of December.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy, and you can tell he's really into the hobby and an advocate for the hobby, so it's great to have him on board and supporting us.
And don't forget to call in to our XP Team USA podcast hotline anytime you want, 24 hours a day. Just call in, leave a comment, a message, or a question for me or Grant or any one of our guests to ask. And anytime you want, just call 405-294-3602. Now let's go to commercial, and we'll get with our first guest, Mr. Jon Tetreault. XP Metal Detectors now introduces the new X35 search coils. Designed around a brand new electronic advances, these new high-performance and versatile coils will allow you to choose from a wide range of frequencies, ranging from 3.7 kHz to 27.7 kHz. In total, there are 35 available frequencies based around 5 main frequencies that are quickly accessible. A new boost mode is now an option on frequencies 3.7 kHz to 4.4 kHz and can significantly increase detection depth on highly conductive targets such as large masses and large silver coins. The new X35 search coils will now be available as option as the same price as the previous coils, and also now will be standard with the brand new Deus. So get your X35 today. Our first guest we got today is Mr. Jon Tetreault. Jon Tetreault is a XP Team USA field rep from Massachusetts. How you doing there, Jon?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, David.
Welcome to the podcast, Jon.
A lot of great history up there in Massachusetts. So how's the weather up there right now?
It's actually not too bad right now. A lot of the snow has been melted. There is a lot of great hunting. You know, as we all know, a lot of the early history of this country was started right here in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. So there is a lot of land and a lot of, places to hunt. And I guess we're fortunate enough to have that. Whereas, a lot of places out in the middle of the country or even the western part of the country, the oldest stuff they're going to find is, Victorian era stuff. So the stuff we find, is dating back early 1600s. So it's great.
Yeah, I'm in Oklahoma. The earliest stuff, we don't find very, very early stuff, but our weather is a little better. So
yeah, it sure is.
So we know you're a metal detectorist, you're an entrepreneur, but I know you're also a family man. Can you tell us a little bit about your family and what a day in the life of Jon Tetreault is like?
Oh boy, a day in the life of Jon Tetreault. Well, not only do I have a family, I have 2 cats and a dog. So, a day in the life of Jon Tetreault, I wake up with the animals hounding me to feed them. My, bustling kids, getting them ready for school. It's not too bad. I don't have to get to work, and my wife doesn't have to work, because of some pretty cool changes that happened in our life last year. But it seems like even though I don't work, my life has become a lot more, busier, especially with, my metal detecting obsession, and, the kids have sports and school. So, I'm lucky. I have a nice break in the dead middle of the day, after I get the kids to school and before I need to pick them up for, whether it be bringing them to football practice or, bringing my daughter to cheer or gymnastics. We try to keep them busy. So I'm lucky I have that nice break midday to, get out there or stay home and do some research. And, I have a beautiful wife. I've been married for a little over 3 years now. We've been together for 7. She's learned to appreciate my metal detecting and take the good with the bad. And I've learned to try to balance my life between family and metal detecting and whatever type of work I'm doing. So at times I think it's like any family. It can be very hectic, but also it's rewarding at the same time.
Right. Yeah. So not only do you metal detect for coins, but I also hear you do a lot of Bitcoin. So can you tell us a little bit about Bitcoin? What is Bitcoin for the people who don't know what Bitcoin is?
Sure. Bitcoin is it's a digital currency. I guess I would explain it as a form of digital gold that's not regulated by central governments or countries or anything for that matter. It was born in 2009. It had no value. It's based on a decentralized distributed network. And what that means is if you take a look at our, current banking system, that's what we would call a centralized network. The ledger is, kept in the bank. So if I wanted to transfer money to, one of you guys, I would send it to the bank and then it'll come back out to one of you guys. And a lot of the times, this could take, days to even up to a week. And they would take a lot of fees depending on where you were in the world. Now with Bitcoin, the useful thing about this is, for the first time, we can send value via what's called the blockchain peer-to-peer without having having to use an intermediary or a third party. So at its very core, it is a new currency that doesn't use the traditional financial system and operates outside of it. Without getting too technical, I think that's the best explanation I can give.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all need to learn more about that for sure.
I think you guys will. It's one of these things. It's like, sorry to cut you off, but it's one of these things. It's like nobody knew that Apple was going to blow up. And, hindsight looking back, it's like, man, I wish I bought Apple stocks. And it's like one of these new disruptive technologies like, Netflix, Uber. It's like one of these type of things where it's like so foreign to people. By the time people, can wrap their head around it, it's already, so big.
Like you said, 2009, it was like under a penny. And just last year, it was up over $20,000, and now it's back down to $3,000. But it's a very fluctuating market, but it will probably go back up.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. At least I hope it will, and we'll see.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier you had some good fortune last year. I'm sure Bitcoin is part of that, but you're also pretty driven to go down the entrepreneurial route, right? And you're going to now, just in time for winter, start a landscaping and plowing business. Is that right?
That's right. So for the longest time since high school, I've been in the trades, and metal detecting has always been in the back of my mind. But I had always been so busy and, always trying to make ends meet that I never had, the time nor really the money to, buy a detector. I can remember at a very young age, my grandmother bringing me metal detecting was one of those really old school ones that just, didn't have the VDI display, just some like crazy knobs and lots of funky sounds. As I progressed through, after high school and into my 20s and 30s, I had always been in the trades. And, one of my last trades was a carpenter. I was a finished carpenter. I worked exclusively. I was self-employed for a local builder out here in Massachusetts. At the same time, I got introduced to Bitcoin, and I lost a little money here. I made a little money there. But, my real break came in 2017, where I got involved with this company, and I was able to leverage the power of network marketing with this company. And I had a team of international members, over 10,000 strong. And we all know how network marketing works. I was making crazy money, and I was able to quit my job, and my wife quit her job. And, we had to kind of learn to, talking about family life earlier, we had to learn to kind of get to know each other again, because, we're around each other a lot. So we had to learn to kind of reconnect and learn how to be around each other 24 hours a day. And, after a while, it was kind of one of the reasons I decided to get into metal detecting. I mean, I had the time, I had the money, so I decided to take some of my Bitcoins and purchase a detector. And my first detector wasn't a Deus, it was a Fisher. And about 2 weeks with that Fisher, I said, this isn't what I want to do. I decided to go high end. I like the Deus. I was watching some YouTubers who use them. So I decided to, buy the Deus. The rest is history. I got a lot of neat stories, and talking about the landscaping business a little bit, with Bitcoin price being down, and, kind of the wife, getting on my case a little bit about my metal detecting obsession. I need to make some money. The money we have isn't going to last the rest of our lives. I can't just metal detect 24 hours a day forever. So, I decided to open up a landscaping and snow removal business. At least my wife thinks it's to make money, but we all know I have ulterior motives to, seek new permissions with all these landscape clients. So, well, I think it's going to be a win-win for me and her, with the landscaping business.
That sounds like a brilliant strategy. Well played.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. And even though you've been detecting seriously and with an obsession just recently, it sounds like you started when you were a child with your grandmother, and so that fever's been inside you for a while?
It really has been. I've always had a thirst for history and the outdoors and, all that type of stuff, I would rather watch the History Channel than football. I mean, that's just how I am, always into education, learning and understanding things on a deeper level. And it started with the rocks. I mean, I was fishing in this time, I've been kind of like a network marketer and had like basically all of 2017 off. I started, fishing again. I used to fish a lot, and I remember just looking down at the ground and like seeing rocks, and I'm like, you know what? I wonder if I could find like any Indian artifacts or like, maybe like a dinosaur egg or a dinosaur bone. And so I started like researching that and like looking for that type of stuff. And then for some reason, metal detecting was like right there. I'm like, man, I should just buy a metal detector. So that's what I did. I bought a metal detector. We're lucky we have a nice dealer here in Massachusetts. That's just a couple towns away. So I was able to scoop up a metal detector, and oh my God, my wife was so mad at me. I had my whole yard dug up, holes everywhere. my son's trying to mow the lawn, and it's, what's funny too? So I started with this fisher, and I found some stuff. I holes everywhere, all over my yard, and I couldn't find anything anymore. I'd been out there for 2 weeks just digging everything. It was like that movie Holes, that kids movie, Holes everywhere. And I bought the dais, and I came back out over my yard, and I was finding more coins, more relics. I mean, like underneath the topsoil down to, a foot deep, I found a bullet that had to have been there from the farmland that was there like in the late 1700s, 1800s. So I was like, wow, man, this is a game changer. The XP dais is a game changer. I've just been hooked ever since. I really have.
Oh, yeah. John, what would you say that your hunting style would be, or your preference of hunting? Would you be more of a park hunter or a field hunter or coin shooter or a door knocker?
Well, I would say mostly I'm a cellar hole hunter. I have hunted parks, I have hunted fields, I have not done doors. I'm not afraid to talk to people. A little experience with one of my door knocking. Never be afraid to knock on a door. For anybody out there who may be like shy, afraid to talk to people, because you never know what the people are going to be like. You always need to remember, people are just people. If you be yourself, introduce yourself, get a business card made up, say, hey, listen, this is my name, I'm so-and-so, this is what I do for a hobby, and just feel them out. And so anyways, there was this one house, it was like mid-1700s, and I just kept driving by it. Every time I go to the store, I drive by it, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta stop and knock on that door. I gotta stop. And my mind kept telling me, nah, they're gonna say no, they're gonna say no, they're gonna say no. One day it just seemed like the right moment, and I pulled in, and this old gentleman answered, and he was a great guy. He's like, yeah, sure, have at it. I usually bring a small bag of my more interesting finds to show them, because as long as that bag of finds is in their hands and they're looking at it, like we're still having a conversation. So I do knock on doors. In Massachusetts, it's I don't know. I wouldn't say, it depends on the town, Some towns have ordinances or bylaws where you can't hunt on their, public properties. Other ones don't have anything in their bylaws, but it's kind of frowned upon. Like, people look at you weird. So, I mean, I just assume, stay in the woods on, a town forest or a chunk of land that I have permission. I love the woods. It's out of sight from people. I get to be with nature. I get to do some exploring and stuff like that. So that's really my style. I did try beach hunting once. That's a whole different ball game. I really need to, learn that. In Massachusetts, you can't really beach hunt. It's not allowed. But if I'm ever up in New Hampshire, I usually go up to Hampton Beach and, do a little hunting and stuff like that. But I'm a cellar dweller. The woods is where I stay.
Well, we're going to take a break real quick. And when we come back, we're going to talk to John about some of his finds up there in Massachusetts. XP has announced its new ORX machine, a high-end machine with a mid-range price. The new ORX has 4 factory programs plus 2 user programs with 99 levels of sensitivity, available with a high-frequency coil and compatible with the new X35 coils, coming soon to the USA. Welcome back, and we are here with our field rep from Massachusetts, Jon Tetreault.
Hey, John, I saw you post something recently that's probably on the top of many of our bucket lists. Recently, you found a 1785 Nova Castellatio copper coin. and it was in the same hole with a Vermont copper. Can you tell us about that experience and what led up to that find?
Absolutely. That is probably one of my better finds. I think when I found it, I didn't quite realize the nature of that find. But just to give you a little backstory about, my detecting and my research and the events that led up to that moment where I did discover those two coins. So, I had been previously, what a lot of us do is we research old maps and we try to find old roads and, old foundations. And I had been using these maps, and, some of the maps go back to the late 1700s, and but a lot of the maps are like 1800s or so. And I had been using this strategy and visiting a lot of these sites, and fortunately, a lot of the places that are on these maps are pretty pounded. And, occasionally you do find a goodie listening out for those really deep signals and really moving slow and trying to adjust the settings on the dais to, like, reactivity, for instance, around a lot of iron, and removing some of the iron too to maybe penetrate deeper. And, occasionally you get a goodie, but I thought to myself, what can I do as a research metal detectorist to really find maybe some of these sites that have eluded other people for a long time? So one of the techniques I used was I think some people do this, but I started researching local town history, and that brought me to this area of land that did not have any dwellings on it or old home sites according to the 1800s maps, but my research pointed at the fact that there could have been some, activity going on. There was a reference to one of these lots, there being a gentleman who owned slaves up until it was abolished, and I think in Massachusetts specifically it was 1783 or 84 when slavery was abolished. So that put this land on the map for colonial. So, I decided, I'm gonna take a look at this area, and there's this other technology that a lot of states have. It's called LiDAR. It's a laser imaging technology. Massachusetts, it's not good and it's very difficult, but I'm fortunate enough that the New Hampshire LiDAR maps overlap enough into Massachusetts where I could take a look at this area. And what this imaging technology does, for the people who haven't heard of it, basically they use airplanes, and it's not for metal detectors, it's for anybody who do it, like surveying the land, governments, educational places, but it shoots a laser, and the laser bounces back up off solid objects, and it goes right through the trees. So what I can see and what I can look at is basically what the ground looks like under the forest. So it shows me stone wall outlines, it shows me potential cellar holes, and lo and behold, would you know that when I put in the coordinates for this area and zoomed in really far, I saw an old cart path and what looked to be a foundation. And sometimes these can be just, little natural whoop-de-doos in the woods. So I decided, what better way than to, get my butt out there and do some field research on this. So I invited a couple guys out there, and we hit the woods. I was able to locate the site. And when I got to the site, it really just looked like a whoop-de-doo. There was only a few stones left in it. It looked to be what was an old barn foundation. It was U-shaped. It was kind of built into a hill. It was, so collapsed that the dirt had grown over it, which, they either removed the stones or it just collapsed and the ground had been built up so much on it. It must have been hit back in the day, like maybe in the 70s and 80s, because there wasn't a lot of signals. A few buttons came out of it, some lead, a shoe buckle piece, and I was up on the lip, and I got this sweet 91 signal, and I dug down, I popped my plug, and there's a copper, and most of the coppers in Massachusetts, they're pretty caked, you got to let them dry out, or, rub them a little bit with your hand before they start flaking. The first thing I saw is when I rubbed it was that eye, that little eye in the center of the Nova Constellatio. And I yelled to my buddy, I said, "Copper, I got a copper here." And he's like, "Oh, nice. What is it?" And I'm like, "I think it's a Nova." He's like, "You got a date on it?" I couldn't get a date. And swung back over the hole, and I get another signal. a little bit off to the side of the hole, and I make my plug a little bit bigger, and I, pop the side of the plug, and I pull out another coin, and this one was a little bit more difficult to read. At first I thought it was like a KG2, or then I thought it was a Connecticut, and I yelled at my buddy. I said, I think I got a spill here, and he was about 25 yards off the hole, and he starts walking over, and we have like kind of a joking rule, usually when you get like some really good finds, all of a sudden your buddies start detecting near you, and as soon as I pulled out the other copper, he starts walking over, and I yell over, whoa, buddy, 20-foot perimeter rule, and he said, hey, it gets cut in half when you find two in the same hole, and, we joked, and we're checking out the coins, and he's like, wow, man, that's awesome, and we didn't find much more that day, but, it just goes to show you that your research kind of, pays off. I was able to do some research, put myself out in the woods at a site that is not on maps, using modern technologies to survey the area, and also historical references to kind of like put myself in an area to kind of figure out what was going on back then. So it turns out this the Nova Constellatio was 1785 Nova Constellatio. It is in super duper awesome condition. I mean, I've even looked online to doing my own research, and I haven't even seen one dug in this good a condition. It turns out to be a Crosby 3B variety, which, is pretty common. It's not too rare, but the condition of this coin is what makes it really rare, not the coin itself. The Crosby 3B variety has a die break or a little die deficiency in the wreath. That's how, one of the guys in the Facebook groups was able to ID it for me. The Vermont copper, it's a lot more beat up, but it's actually more rare of a coin. That's a Rider 29 variety. It's got a huge die break across you can't miss it. That's why the guys were able to ID it for me. But, two coins out of the same hole, it was, one of the guys messaged me, one of the friends of mine, he said, John, he's like, I don't think you understand, what you have here. I don't think you understand. You basically won the metal detecting lottery. Like, I don't even have a Vermont, and a lot of people don't even have a Vermont or a Nova, and you found these in the same hole, So it's really about just getting yourself out there to these places and kind of, doing some abstract research to maybe make that happen. And that's not to say that the regular cellar holes that have been pounded don't produce things, because especially out here in New England, you got to think like this. So in the winter, the ground freezes and rocks heave, maybe coins that are on edge, they push coins up and make them flat where you can all of a sudden hear them now. So, the ground's constantly changing. So you never know what you're going to find. I'm glad that I was able to find these two coins.
It's a great story. And like you say, it's a testament to the importance of research, right? You were able to use that to put yourself in a place that had potential. And sometimes research happens after the fact. With another story that I read from you on the XP Team USA blog website about the cufflink you found that was a hot air balloon cufflink. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I found this cufflink at the beginning of the summer, I think. I was hunting a place that it was actually a center of town that was just abandoned and taken over by the woods. Dates back to the 1700s at some point. I think it was abandoned in like the early to mid 1800s, but it's definitely been a popular hunting ground over the years for metal detectors. So, targets are definitely few and far between here, and I had to start thinking about how I can recover targets in an area like this. It's actually where I started to learn, how to use the deep program to get down deeper, and also how I learned how to start listening in between the junk iron. And but I decided to go off the grid a little bit and go off the roads and kind of follow some walls and build a mental picture of and kind of try to understand what this area may have looked like back when it was active. And lo and behold, I came across a very teeny raised up mound that was a cellar hole. If I wasn't close enough, I would have missed it. And I dropped my coil. I started swinging around, and I was using actually the hot program in the iron. I think it had reactivity up to like 4, so I could really get kind of sneak in between these nails and iron signals and listen. And I got a squeaker. I got a squeaker in there, and I said, there's something here. So I dug down. I pulled a plug, popped my pinpointer in, and I must have pulled out like 3 or 4 nails, and I ran my coil over the hole again, and like there it was, that little squeaker. It started sounding better. And I put my pinpointer down, and it was going off, and I think I must have pulled out like 2 more nails, and whatever it was, I had it out of the hole, and it's so small. I was trying to find it, and I was starting to get frustrated, and I got my pinpointer on it, but I still can't see it, and I kept dropping it, and then finally, after seemed like an eternity, but it was probably only 30 or 40 seconds, honestly, I find this cufflink, a complete cufflink, and I look at it, and I get the dirt off it, and it has some type of fancy design on it. So I try to look closer, and I say, it looks like a pineapple. I thought it was a pineapple. I thought it was a picture of a pineapple. And I, get back with my friend who was over in the next pasture next door, which was a forest with no rocks, a stonewall pen. And, we're exchanging some of the stuff we found. And I was like, yeah, man, I got a cufflink here with some fancy. He's like, sweet. And I didn't think nothing more of it. I just put it in the pouch and got home, pulled it out, cleaned it up a little bit, still thinking it was a pineapple. I wasn't looking at it right side up. I was looking at it upside down. So I posted on, one of the club groups I'm in here in Massachusetts, and one of the guys says, man, that's a hot air balloon. And I said, you kidding me? And I turned it upside down. And I said, you know what? I think you're right. He's like, I know exactly what that is. That is a hot air balloon cufflink from the 1780s. It could be any time in the 1780s, but in 1783, it was the first manned hot air balloon flight in, I think, in Europe. So these hot air balloons were created, hot air balloon everything was created. I mean, people in the 1780s, come to find out through my own research, it was what's called a balloonania. There was a balloon craze. Think about it. Nobody's ever flown before. All of a sudden, the first hot air balloon flights and flies in the late 1780s, that's a big deal. So it caused this craze. So everybody was into balloon this, balloon that, balloon cufflinks, balloon pattern this. So this is just one of the relics that commemorate that 10-year balloon craze era, come to find out. And it was pretty cool. My buddy actually found half a cufflink, the same one in Vermont, the same balloon cufflink. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to, be able to find something, think it's a pineapple, not really knowing what you have, pineapple design, and, come to find out it's a relic from that commemorates the first ever manned hot air balloon flight in 1783. So that was probably my second coolest find.
Very cool story. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I love finding what's-its and then discovering after the fact what they really are.
That's half the fun, finding it's fun, but discovering actually what it is, that's it's almost like you're refinding it again, so you get that same excitement there.
So other than metal detecting and all, what other hobbies do you have?
Well, metal detecting and more metal detecting. No, I mean, I'm a fisherman, but to be honest, metal detecting has, taken a lot of my time away from that, which is fine. I still fish. I go up to Pulaski, New York once a year to do salmon fishing for a week, so that's pretty cool. I like to help people, a lot. So I spend a lot of time helping people. I like camping, but my family's not a big camper. I like to create things, I like to take ideas and put them into action. It's in my entrepreneurial nature, and I like to build businesses, online businesses.
Hey, do you hear that?
I think I hear it.
Rapid fire.
All right, John, I'm going to ask you just a few short questions. You got to answer them quickly, a couple words. Are you ready to go?
I hope so. Let's do it.
All right. All right, I know you have both, but what do you prefer, cats or dogs?
Dogs.
What's your favorite holiday gift that you've ever received?
Early Christmas present, XP Deus for myself last summer.
What's the worst gift you've ever gotten?
Probably an ugly sweater from one of my family members when I was a child.
What do you use on your Deus? The stock coil, the HF coil, or the X35?
Right now I'm running the 9-inch X35.
Okay, and what is your New Year's resolution?
My New Year's resolution would be to find more balance in my life and spend more time researching as opposed to metal detecting.
Well done. Great answers.
Very good.
Thank you.
My question I like to ask everybody is, if you were given 1 day pass to hunt anywhere in the United States, anywhere that's been illegal, where would you hunt?
Well, I think where I would hunt would be Concord, Massachusetts. Free reign in Concord, Massachusetts. And we all know that's where the Revolutionary War began there, the Paul Revere across the Old North Bridge. So there's like tons of history out there, but it's off limits because it's a national historic landmark.
Yeah, you imagine the cool stuff you can find in there.
Maybe the laws will change, but yeah, I'm sure there's tons of little treasures hidden underneath the earth there.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. I mean, can you imagine like how much stuff has been lost there? Old colonial coins, shoe buckles, musket balls. It's just like, and it hasn't been touched. I mean, if it has, it's been kind of like hunted illegally, but it's not like one of these places that's just like open to hunt. So it's got to be loaded, absolutely loaded.
Well, John, we learned a lot from you today, and it was very nice talking to you. You're full of information, and we would love to have you back again sometime.
David, Grant, thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure, and I appreciate you guys greatly. I can't wait to listen to the replay here.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Take care.
Check us out online at xpdeus-usa.com. This segment is brought to you by Omega Mill Pouches, the official digging pouch of XP Team USA. If you're looking for a rugged, hunt-tested, washable pouch, look no further than Omega Mill. Get on eBay and search Omega Mill Pouches. That's OMEGAMILL.
All right, our next guest we got today is Mr. David Finley. David Finley is our new Dealer of the Month for the month of December. For those who do not know, the Dealer of the Month is a program that we're doing where we have dealers donate a prize that we give away, and in return we will advertise for them heavily throughout the month. We will have them on the podcast, and we will run ads for them and put them on the front page of our website. So Mr. David Finley is from Wichita Falls, Texas. How you doing, Dave?
Great, man. Hope you all are doing good today. Thank you.
Doing great, and thanks for your support of XP Team USA.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So let me ask you just about detecting first, right? You started in 2009, and the first coin you ever found was an 1854 quarter. Can you tell us about that experience and what that felt like?
Yes, sir. Well, I started metal detecting in 2009. I bought myself a metal detector for Christmas, a pretty decent metal detector. And one of the first places I always wanted to go is a place called Stonewall Jackson Park. And what that is, it's about a little over 100 acres. It's where the Confederate soldiers after the Civil War bought that, and they had reunions there for several years. They would kind of party, I guess, if you want to call it that. They would dance, rodeo, and all that. But anyway, I got permission to hunt all that. Right now, it used to be a big rodeo grounds. We used to show horses there in rodeo several years ago. Then now it's a baseball park. It's about 5 diamonds. But anyway, I went. That was one of the places I wanted to metal detect when I first got my metal detector. So I went there. It was muddy. I found that quarter, and I almost threw it away because it was so worn out. I thought it was a plug, and I scraped the edges off and realized it was a quarter, cleaned it up, and the only thing that you can see on it is the date. Everything else is wore smooth down, and that got me hooked on metal detecting after that. I've been metal detecting ever since.
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, I haven't found a seated quarter of any year. So the fact that you got out in your first go and found one right away, that's pretty remarkable.
Oh, yeah. That's
pretty lucky. So Yeah.
So what would you call your style of metal detecting, and how you like to metal detect? You are a door knocker, field hunter, park hunter?
I am a coin hunter, and about all I do is door knocking. And how I got into door knocking several years ago, probably 2010 or first part of 2011, I was metal detecting over in Henrietta. It's a small town about 20 miles east of here, in a park. And a guy came up, and he was from Aledo, Texas, which is right west of Fort Worth. His name's Dennis Wynn. Anyway, he asked me if he could metal detect with us at that park. And I said, well, man, I can't stop you if I wanted to, but you're welcome to metal detect. Well, anyway, we became very good friends, and he started telling me about getting permission to hunt on other people's property or door knocking. And I didn't do it for probably 2 or 3 months after that, because it's like everybody else has problems going up and knocking on people's doors. So, but anyway, I was hunting a park up in Oklahoma, and I was looking around. We wasn't finding much, and looked around, started seeing the older houses, and remembered what Dennis had told me about knocking doors. So anyway, I started it. I think the first 2 or 3 turned me down, and then the second or third one or fourth one, I don't recall exactly. But anyway, they let us hunt it, and I've been door knocking ever since then. So, 6 years or so now.
So a lot of people, like you said, they're intimidated to door knock. What's your secret to success in getting a yes?
Well, the thing about it, several people have gone with me metal detecting, and I've helped them be more comfortable with door knocking, because it is intimidating. I mean, to go up there and knock on somebody's door. But the thing about it is, when they tell you no, it's not, but they don't know you. I mean, so it's not because they don't like you. It's just because they don't want you digging in their front yard. So, but anyway, I go up and I ask the people, I tell them a metal detector is a hobby. We're always looking for older homes just like theirs. And then I always point out to my truck, and I say, that's my buddy, John, Dennis, or David, whoever's with me. I said, we metal detectors are hobbies. We'll see if we can metal detect your yard. And if they look hesitant or, kind of get a odd look on their face, I start asking them questions, maybe about their house, when it was built, how long they lived there, have they ever found any cool stuff there, when they moved in. And they get to talking, they get relaxed, and then you just make the comment kind of casual, well, do you mind if we hunt the front yard? And I'm going to say probably most of the days, 85 to 90% of the people probably will let you hunt their yards.
So let's talk about your company then, Texhoma Metal Detectors. So you're out of Wichita Falls, Texas.
Right.
So how do people get a hold of you and find you?
I've got a website, way too active on Facebook, spend too much time there, but it's a good place, to advertise. I do have a website. They can go there. They can call me. I started metal detecting in 2009, and I became a dealer in 2014. And I don't do it to make a living at it. The reason I enjoy being a dealer is helping people get involved in metal detecting. I like people, helping people out who've never metal detected before, and I'm a dealer that certainly will not take advantage of you if you're, new to metal detecting. So anyway, I've got a good website that they can look at and then contact me from there.
Yeah, in my opinion, the best dealers to deal with are the guys who metal detect and spend a lot of time metal detecting themselves, because they know how to answer the questions and help you out.
Yes. Yeah. Well, one thing that was concerned me, I'm a dealer for 6 major brands, and it was kind of overwhelming when I first started, thinking, because every manufacturer they can have up to 7, 8, 10 metal detectors or even more. And it always worried me is, how am I going to answer every question? So the longer I've been in it with the new metal detectors that's come out, I've been a dealer for them, so I'm a lot more comfortable talking and can answer questions a lot better than I could back in 2014 when I started. So. And
recently I seen you started using the Deus yourself.
Yes, I did. I've been a dealer for Deus for about 3 years, and I've sold several of them, but I wouldn't use it because I thought it was so so complicated, and I didn't want to take the time to learn it. But what I did, I watched for about a month or two. I watched videos, found some good videos that I liked that went into the menus and then the expert menus and all that. And so anyway, got one, put it together, and it's not as complicated as people try to make it out to be.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you can put on the stock programs and go out and be successful, but at the same time, you've got that ability to really optimize it for your ground conditions and your style of hunting. And like you said, it's not as complicated as it may seem to do that.
No, it's not. Yeah, I was surprised. I wish that I had started using one, when I became a dealer. I should have.
Yeah, the best thing about Deus is once you learn it and you know it really good, and then you want to upgrade, you don't ever have to really upgrade. You just buy another coil or you just learn another program, and it's just like a new machine.
Right. Well, Deus has come out with several new versions, since they've been out. And, you can just update it on your computer, so you don't have to buy another metal detector, or another Deus, rather.
Yeah, we're up to 5.2 right now.
Yes.
And your arm doesn't feel like it's going to fall off after you've been swinging in a couple hours, too.
Boy, that is true. That is true. When I go out with something, since I've had it, I'll go whoever I'm hunting with, I'll say, man, swing this for just a minute and see how light this is. And they can't believe it. That it is as light as it is.
Yes, I picked up my older machine after I got so used to the Deus, and now I feel like that's just a giant weight, and I'm swinging on that other machine.
Yeah, that's true.
So you just recently told me that Texhoma Metal Detectors had just got a new thing going on with financing. How does that work?
I used another financing program. I won't mention who it is, but they were a lot stricter as far as the FICO score, and this is a lot more lenient. It's bi-weekly payment, so it's a lot easier on some families' budgets where they can pay it out rather than being out, say, $1,500 for a Deus. They can stretch it out over 2 years or whatever, or so many months, ever how long the finance company is. Community Finance, who is the name of the company.
Wow, I bet for a lot of people that's really good to hear.
Well, I hope so. I just got it put on my website probably this past weekend or the end of last weekend. And I've gotten some emails, people asking me questions about it, so people are noticing it.
Yeah, just less of a strain on your wallet. And when you're making an investment like this, that's something you care about. It's just easier for people. So I think that's a great option that you offer.
Yeah, I mean, $1,500 out of some people's family's budget, that's a lot of money. So where they can stretch it out, make monthly installments or payments, it's a lot better for them. And they can, get the Deus.
Yes, and even if they have a Deus right now, they can get a new coil, the new X35 coil using that, right?
That's true. Yes, sir. It's up to $200 and over they'll finance, so they won't do like the pointer or anything like that.
Well, they can get a coil and a pinpointer, couldn't they?
Yes, they could. Yes, they can do a bundle deal like that. Yes, they sure can.
That's great. Do you want to give everybody your phone number or contact number so they can give you a call?
Yes, my number is 940-500-1996. And I answer my phone every day from about 8:30 till in the morning till 8:30 at night, 7 days a week. So if you call me and I don't answer, I may be metal detecting or I may be talking to someone else, I will return your calls. If you go to my website, you can see, on there several places. You can call, text, or email me with questions about metal detectors or, whatever you're interested in, or if you just have questions about metal detecting. If I can answer them, I'll be glad to help you out.
And just to remind everybody that the website is texhomametal-detectors.com, right?
Right. It's TEXHOMA Metal Detectors @gmail.com. Yeah, and you can remember that Texhoma, I live right on the border of Texas and Oklahoma. So when I started it like 5 years ago, this area is known as Texhoma. So that's how I came up with the name of my little company.
We got a big old lake that separates right there, and it's Texhoma Lake.
Yes, sir. That's true. That's right.
All you northerner guys never heard. Y'all can't pronounce that Texhoma.
That's pretty true.
Yeah, some guy PM or emailed me today. I forget which one it was, and he asked me if I was in the United States. I said, "What makes you think that I'm not?" I guess the Texhoma. I don't know. Well, evidently, that's what it was. So
we will be announcing the giveaway later on this month for a MI6 pinpointer that is given to us, donated by David Finley with Texhoma Metal Detectors. So keep listening and find out when that will be. It was really good talking to you, Dave.
I appreciate it. I've enjoyed the website.
All right.
And I encourage everybody to, when they listen to the podcast, to mention it on the group and encourage other people to watch it also or listen to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much,
Yes,
David. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank y'all.
All right. We'll see you. If you have a question for one of our guests or just like to make a comment, call us at our XP Team USA podcast hotline at 405-294-3602. If you are needing the highest quality digging tool for metal detecting, then check out Predator Tools. Their digging tools are made from chromoly 4130 and heat treated and tempered to ensure the highest quality product. Predator tools are made in the USA and are also used in the United States military. All of their tools carry a 5-year warranty and are proven to be the toughest out there. So check out Predator Tools at predatortools.com. This is Express News with Grant Hansen.
Hey everyone, this is Grant Hansen, and I am back with another edition of Express News. I'm sure many of you have already heard about this discovery, but it's quite amazing and worth sharing over and over. A metal detectorist in Wales has discovered what is thought to be the first Celtic chariot burial. Not a piece from the chariot, but the entire thing used in a burial ceremony. Mike Smith, the detectorist who discovered the chariot, has been keeping the location under wraps so that archaeologists can do a proper excavation. Picture this. You were a high-ranking Celtic chief, you got an extraordinary burial, which included your horse, your weapons, and I guess your entire chariot. I'm sure more of this story will unfold as excavations continue, as ground-penetrating radar suggests more is buried on this land, and even under the chariot itself. I'm going to keep tabs on this one. For more information, visit bbc.com. You know, Mother Nature can be brutal, changing the landscape of anything she touches when she's in a bad mood. In North Carolina, during Hurricane Florence, there was a considerable amount of beach erosion. Bradley Dixon, who was helping with the beach cleanup efforts on Topsail Island after the storm, noticed exposed coins from the 1940s and 50s. He decided to get his metal detector out to see what he could find, and what he found was amazing. He started finding World War II weapons, including Browning machine gun bullets, shrapnel, and large projectiles. The heaviest projectiles, used for anti-tank defense, were a whopping 27 pounds each. So why was this stuff there? Well, Topsail Beach was a World War II training site for pilots who used the island for target practice, so there's probably much more to be found. For more info on this story, visit atlasobscura.com. And now for something right out of a movie. Prisoners in Pleven, northern Bulgaria, stumbled upon 7,000 silver coins from the Ottoman Empire. The coins are believed to have been buried in the 19th century, and inmates unearthed 2 pots full of coins while doing agricultural work. Seemingly collected over many years by the former owner, this amount of money could have bought 3 houses during that time period. What makes this even more of a curious find is that no historically significant structures or other artifacts have been discovered in the area. I doubt that the prisoners will have any claim to this amazing find, but I'm guessing it's the most exciting thing that's happened to them in a while. You know, there's so much in the news right now about people finding amazing things. I hope if you're listening to this podcast, you get out yourself and find something that's truly a treasure. Until next time.
If you are in the market for a new pinpointer, then check out XP's MI6 pinpointer. Waterproof up to 6 meters, 2 audio modes, pitch or pulse, 3 levels of sensitivity, rechargeable lithium battery, 7 programs to choose from, 7th program being connectivity to your machine, allowing 50 levels of sensitivity and recovery mode for your MI6. For those on a budget, check out the MI4 pinpointer with all the same options except for connectivity. So find an MI6 or an MI4 pinpointer through a dealer near you. All right. Well, that was the Express News. Another great Express News from Grant Hansen.
Thank you very much. Happy to do it. I enjoy getting to see what happens around the world with treasure finds. It's always exciting.
Dave Finley was very good to talk to.
Yeah, really nice guy. You could tell he's really into it. He's got a great website and a great dealership. And the fact that he offers financing like he does really lowers the barrier to entry to anyone who wants to get a solid machine or accessories.
Right. Yeah. So check out Texhoma Metal Detectors. We will have an ad up for them on our website, and we'll also have them on our Facebook page and our Facebook group. Click on that and check him out. So Jon Tetreault was also pretty interesting to talk to. I learned a lot from him. He's got a lot of cool information.
He does. I mean, I have to reevaluate my research skills because I think he's up the level with some of the technology he uses, and hopefully I can get some bucket listers like he's found recently. That Nova is just remarkable.
Yeah, and he also makes me want to invest more into Bitcoin, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to go to bed thinking, oh boy, Grant, you missed the boat on that one. How can you get in?
Yeah. Check out our next show, December 14th. We will have a contest going, and it will be for an MI6 pinpointer donated by Texhoma Metal Detectors.
That's very exciting. I use an MI6, and it's great to pair with the headphones, but even if you don't use a Deus, it's a great standalone pinpointer as well.
Yes, it is. Also, we will be announcing the winner for that contest at the end of December. So keep listening and win a pinpointer. And we'll see you December 14th.
Looking forward to it. I know we've got some great interviews lined up, so it's going to be a great show.
See you then.
Get that permission, put the coil to the soil, and we'll see you next time right here on the XP Team USA podcast.